New analysis just changed the original date of a massive meteorite crater in Australia. This is on Science Alert by Mike McRae. In the state of Western Australia sits the famous Wolf Creek crater, the aftermath of a 14,000-ton meteorite crashing into Earth thousands of years ago. A new study now claims the impact happened far more recently than we suspected, prompting a rethink of how often giant space rocks actually strike our planet. A team of researchers from universities in Australia and the US took a close look at several features of the crater's underlying rock to get a precise measurement of the age of Wolf Creek's most famous landmark. Previous estimates stated the crater would be 300,000 years old, but the new result places it much closer to our time, perhaps as little as 120,000 years ago, and knowing this is not just a geological curiosity either. As far as neat-looking craters go, they don't tend to be much bigger. With little rain to wear away the walls of the impact site at Wolf Creek, the crater has been remarkably well preserved throughout the ages. But the site also stands out for the fact that it's the second largest crater on Earth to still have fragments of the offending space rock. There's no doubt that the shrapnel of far bigger blasts exists out there somewhere, but with ocean and ice covering so much of our planet's surface, and wind and rain eating away at the geology, evidence is hard to come by. In fact, the vast majority of craters found today on Earth are less than 100,000 years old. Anything older has been largely lost to the elements, either worn down or covered up. That makes Australia's outback, and therefore Wolf Creek crater, somewhat special. Elsewhere, craters are destroyed by geomorphic activity like river migration or slope processes in the mountains. This is what University of Wollongong geochemist Tim Barrow says. He says, since Australia has an excellent preservation record, with dating craters within the arid zone, we can extrapolate the rate of the whole Earth. The monster that made a hole in Western Australia's landscape was most likely around 50 feet across and moving at around 10 miles a second. The collision shattered the underlying terrain, liquefying the meteorite itself as well as the crust. And what remained was a frozen ripple with a central depression with an average diameter of 2,930 feet and the depth of 584 feet. Throw in a thick layer of sand, though, and that distance to the floor is now closer to 164 feet. There have been a variety of attempts to determine the age of the site. Early attempts set an upper boundary of about 2 million years, but since then researchers have settled at around 300,000 years. This latest stab at the date is based on a middle ground using two different techniques. Like previous studies, the team looked at the steady decay of two isotopes, beryllium-10 and aluminium-26. A second method involved optical stimulated luminescence, which determines passing time by measuring changes in the energy trapped in the crystal lattice of the sand molten by the blast. The team conducted a survey of the landscape using photogrammetry, nailing down the dimensions with unprecedented precision. And combining the data, the researchers put a maximum age on the crater of about 137,000 years, though it's more likely that the impact occurred about 120,000 years ago. The team applied the same techniques to another impressive scar, the 1,200 meter or 3,900 foot wide Meteor crater in Arizona, pushing its time of formation back another 10,000 years. Without any sizable craters to form a decent sized sample, even small changes to a single crater's timeline can help researchers in pinning down the precise rate of sizable meteorite strikes on Earth. A revision of Wolf Creek's age suggests Australia's outback has 7 craters larger than 82 feet that have formed since then, giving a rate of one significant strike every 17,000 years. Extrapolating that for the rest of the planet is not straightforward, but it gives researchers somewhere to start. Burrows says, taking into account that arid Australia is only about 1% of the surface, the rate increases to 1 every 180 years or so. Previous studies have estimated that Wolf Creek-sized impacts should occur every 13,000 years, with smaller craters of about 150 meters across being left about every 500 years. Given the cosmos does not exactly go by any timetable, the figures aren't to be taken literally, but instead help us to gauge out how seriously we should take calls to watch the skies for potential hazards. We can expect another Wolf Creek crater to appear somewhere on Earth in the future, and next time it might not be as remote as the Australian outback. This is from Meteorics and Planetary Science, and it's on Science Alert. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.